Hello everyone, I'm Ajay Balamurugadas. I will be your facilitator today, and I'm very happy to moderate this session, roundtable discussion on career development. And I have with me Anuj Magazine, who is uh, who is working at Walmart Global Tech India. Uh, Welcome Iryna, who is the QA architect at Xandr, and we have Thomas Haver, who is the test automation architect, um, and Chaitra Rao. You must have heard her session. She is the senior manager at Insider Inc., and her team is called as the test engineering. Welcome, and Christina. She is the senior test engineer at Medidata Solutions. And finally, we have the vice president from tapQA, Kirk Walton. So welcome everyone, welcome attendees. So this is going to be a 60-minute session. At the same time, due to upcoming sessions and some other commitments, we might have some panelists drop off in between. So that is intentional, and we will take questions from the audience towards the end, like 15-20 minutes. So the initial 40 minutes, we will have a roundtable discussion on a very hot topic, at the same time important topic, career development. So let's get started with Christina, because I see her first on the gallery. So that's the only reason. So Krishna, first question to you. What is career development according to you?
Okay, so for me, I believe that it is growing in what you do and moving to the next stage of career. So I would say it's not just about like going to the next step, but also going with value instead in that sense, like the knowledge of what you want to become. But you won't be having that knowledge in whole sometimes. But as you go, it comes with experience and a lot of learning is what I believe. So yeah, that's my understanding about career development in short.
Perfect. So Thomas, talking about career and job and experience, many people get confused with, they consider job as a career, right? And then they stick to just one job, or they think short term. What are your thoughts in terms of career development? Is it short term, long term? How should one approach career development?
In my perspective, career development is agnostic of a single job. It is something that you look forward to, and it can be something that is short-term or long-term, because really none of us know what we're going to be doing in 5 or 10 years, but it's about doing things that you gain fulfillment from, that give you a sense of competency and progress being achieved. So the overall well-being of yourself, I think, is an important part of career development, whatever activities you choose to engage in.
Mm-hmm. So Christina talking about experience, Thomas talking about contentment. So my question to Chaitra is, how important the role of a manager is with respect to career development? How much can we rely on our manager for our career development?
Sure. I can speak from my experience. Other managers may have different opinions. I think it's kind of, making sure that managers are there to support individuals on the team to make sure that you're unlocking their fullest potential, making sure that they're getting the support and the tools needed for them to be their best and feel like they're most productive and happy at work. Also, not just looking at just professional development, also personal development. It could be an example of public speaking skills or something like that. So that way they feel that they are getting the needed support from their managers and leadership. Also, as individuals, I feel they could take it as an opportunity for managing up if the manager is not supporting them enough, ways to see how they could kind of, showcase their work and talk to their manager about opportunities they are interested in exploring and stuff like that. So it could be both ways, but I think managers do have to, look for ways how they can elevate their team members and make them, shine.
So, Kirk, as a manager, what do you feel, or how do you approach career development for your team members?
So, not to sound like a broken record, because I think it is going to be a universal theme, but really identifying, kind of, and we talked about this in a recent discussion, but there's really, with quality engineering, it seems like there's kind of, two tracks, if you will. Particularly organizations come to the crossroads of, we've done it this way, a pretty traditional way for so long. Now we're really getting into a more modern approach and a more modern quality engineering approach. And again, I'm being very specific to QA. Of course, there's probably a more general answer for career development as a whole, but it's really, up to the manager, and what we do at tapQA is kind of identify, is someone, what's the next step? Is someone really passionate about the technical side? Do they have the gene, so to speak, to do things like test automation, performance testing, get into machine learning and AI, just kind of wired in a more technical way? Or is this person like, they're an outstanding tester, but they're also really, really, great at connecting with the customer and really great at figuring out like, this product, yeah, it works. I've checked all the boxes, but it doesn't make me happy when I use it, or it's just not a very usable product. And then kind of taking that to where it's, the career development step for them is more as a customer advocate or a QA advocate. We're actually, one of the talks that we're doing next week at the conference is around what we call humanual testing. And that's something that a lot of our consultants have been really, really interested in is, how do we connect more with the end users? How do we connect more with our customers and test in the lens of those folks? So as managers, we need to identify, if this is a path that you want to take, what are the things that we can do to help you out? What are the, who can we have internally that can mentor you? What's the external training that you have? If it's a more technical path, a lot of great organizations out there and a lot of great opportunities for training and things like that. So it's really just kind of identifying and just, what one's passions are, how one is, wired, so to speak. And as a manager, that's a big part of our responsibility.
Right. Perfect. So taking care of your team members and then helping them, as Chaitra mentioned, not just about professional, but other interests as well. So Anuj,
exactly.
Right. Yeah. So Anuj, how would you discuss with your manager about your career roadmap? Many people want to discuss with their managers. You're on mute.
Yeah, I think Ajay, that's an interesting question. And as I hear you asking this question, I'm sure I think you would have been a great panelist too. I think given your experience, I think I will talking to manager, of course, given the way the organizations are structured, managers play an important role in the career development, and I think that is because of various reasons, I guess. And they do have a sort of a role to play, when in the growth of employees. But I think in general, I do believe that people are in the end, the way the whole, the process works out, the career development talks works out best is when you talk like a CEO of your own career, I guess, and that ownership is very important for the growth, your own growth, and at no given time, I think if you ask me how I talk, I give the control of my career to my manager, but I do want him to be there around me to help me, support me, to untangle the doubts in my mind, to lend me clarity. But I think in the end, the whole success belongs, the whole ownership or accountability of my career belongs to me. I think I will approach it with this mindset and figure out which is a path that I'm looking at and and have a conversation on how can my manager help.
Perfect. CEO of our own life. Fantastic. So Iryna, as Anuj says, CEO of our own lives, how would you approach skills development on your own? Like, how should an employee approach skills development on their own?
So I am the big fan of online classes and books and articles, and I always have a lot in my pipeline what I want to learn. Unfortunately, there is not enough time. It's always a problem. But on each job, I'm trying to not only understand high level stuff, I'm trying to be as technical as I can. So if it's like new language that team uses, I'm trying to take at least some basic classes to understand, so I can take a look in the code if I need. I also try to take as much classes online, like now AI is hot topic, so because it's trend and everybody looks at AI and machine learning, I think that we as QAs should also at least have some basic knowledge and take at least basic class. So I'm looking on the trends, and I'm looking at my current job to find out what I'm missing and what should I work on to be more productive at the current job and in the future. So I will still, in 5 years, I will have a job.
Right. Nice. So Thomas, Iryna is talking about what is missing in current job, prepare for that, and also be ready for ensure that, okay, I have a job after 5 to 10 years. My question to you is around the opportunities in career development for testers specifically. Do you see a lot of opportunities, or what kind of opportunities do you see for testers?
Yeah, so I have performed tech screens for a number of organizations, and just this is my observation of the trends. It's much more tooling focused than what you can say like foundational skill focused, even though the latter is actually more important for being applicable to many different roles. So my opinion would be, if we're looking for next 5-10 years, what is important, I would say generally having knowledge of a given robot process automation tool, because that is an application that extends to the business side rather than just purely the IT side. I'd also echo the sentiments that every company, regardless of whether they have it or not, wants some form of machine learning, AI, or to just purchase enter an agreement with a company that can provide that for whatever services, whether it's something as simple as like chatbots or it's more advanced analytics. And so having some experience around the trends in the industry, I think, is most important. So things like this, attending these sorts of conferences are important. Looking to see what people are being hired for, and trying to identify that specific tooling so you can at least get some working knowledge in it will be very valuable going forward.
Thank you. So Chaitra, I was just waiting for those magic words, AI and tools. So my question to you is, how does one decide in terms of, do I become a manager or do I become a technical hands-on? Many people have that confusion. And you being a manager, what is your thought, or what is your advice to people?
Sure. I can speak from my experience where I used to be an individual contributor and then I became a manager. So I have used from both sides. So I would say it is, as an individual contributor, it is on you to kind of decide if you want to take that career path where you're managing people and making those, providing direction for the team, or you want to continue advancing, excuse me, your technical skills and, mentoring junior engineers or so. So I would say if somebody is contemplating that, if you're unsure, try taking on some project, like lead in some projects and seeing, you can take low-level management tasks, trying to assist your manager and seeing if this is something you like, you want to explore. And then if you feel that this is something you want to pursue, then kind of, have that word with have that conversation with your manager, and then see if, there are opportunities for that. It doesn't have to be in your team. It could be another team or wherever, right? So as managers, supporting, identifying those avenues is important, I feel. And as individual contributors, having those conversations with your manager is important as well. So if you want to, I think there are like two paths: either it's management or you're kind of getting in the technically advancing your career. So I would say it is, up to the individuals and how they want to, explore either of those.
Thank you, Christina. So we are coming back to that same topic. Become the CEO of your life. Your career development is in your hands. Managers will support, but then you have to take your decisions. So my question is on the remote learning, right? Now that the whole world is working remote, and we don't know for how long. So what are your thoughts on remote learning? Do you find any such courses or any particular workshops very interesting and helpful for you?
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned before as well, you need, how much ever you are in a particular field, irrespective of whatever it is, it's not just in like test or quality engineering. There's this always space to grow, and there's everything. It's not like you know everything just because you probably are the expert in some type of testing in your company or in your team. There's so much of new things available outside, and like it's especially coming to conferences like this, there's a lot of online training, there's a lot of blogs out there. It's always good to learn. Doesn't mean that you will have to apply it everywhere you go, like, or even in your company. Sometimes it might not fit in, but it's always good to know because it's going to help you at some point. Like say if you have you're doing a search engine kind of test in the future, but now you're not doing it, but then you are aware of how you would be approaching it. Like you should look at facets and autocomplete search and those kind of things, and how it's approached and how it's integrated with like AI and like data mining and things like that as well. If you aren't aware of it, the point when you come there, it's very hard for you to actually address it as well. And since we have a lot of, I mean, I won't say a lot of free time, but given that most of us are like remotely working, and we are kind of not in the usual fashion of like going around, going about, I personally had a few points that I wanted to work on. So what I thought is, why am I wasting my time? I just picked up a couple of courses on like LinkedIn Learning and things like that, and started just learning, just to know. I was just curious. And I feel that as quality engineers, we are curious, right? Or like that's like our thing.
Need to
It's
be.
running in our blood, yeah. So I think it's just good to explore, not just the technical skills. I'm talking about even the soft skills, so that we can get out there and, like, as Thomas mentioned and Kirk mentioned, like being there to also represent and talk with like clients and things like that as well, not just only stick to the technicality. And I feel there's a lot of resources out there. Like if you want to learn some new languages, Code Academy is there, Udemy is there. So you could use those platforms. Sometimes you might have to pay a small amount, but most of them is just like freely available, and just, yeah, there's lots of blogs as well. So that's how, I mean, just to understand, like if there's a new tool there, I'm just curious, what's that? What is it? What is so cool about it that is not being there in the tools that I use? So yeah, just the curiosity just keeps me trying to find out what's going on.
Nice. So Kirk, after listening to Christina, your team members come to you and say, I want to learn machine learning. Someone else says, I want to learn search engine optimization. And so 4 different topics, only one of them fits the current project. How do you approach that situation?
Boy, that's a good question. I guess, I mean, certainly, I think it's just kind of and as Christina mentioned, I mean, right now being in the remote world, I don't know if we have a little more free time is the right thing to say, but we can use our time a little bit differently. Unfortunately, a lot of training can get done in the car on a commute to work that you don't necessarily have anymore. I feel like I do my training when I'm mowing the lawn nowadays, or I'm just listening to like a podcast or something like that. But it's probably important for a manager to say, for the project at hand, really want to have you focus your time on this. So, for example, if you brought up the example of just like test automation in general. I mean, if we have a need where it's just like, hey, we need more people that are well versed in using this tool or whatnot, going out to Udemy, like you said, all the different options. We're big fans of Test Automation University here, for those that know that, for our team. Focusing on that, but still encouraging people to if you're interested in the topic and you're curious, and like you said, Christina, I mean, curiosity is what drives us as QA professionals, to take whatever free time you may have and explore those other areas, because you never know when they'll be helpful for us. But I think from the standpoint of career development for the individual, it's also good for them to dig in and just learn, is this something that I want to do over the long haul? Is this something that I potentially would like to aspire to? Or, do I think I might, and then I do a little bit of digging in, it's like, this really isn't for me. I think there's a lot of value to that as well. So as it applies to an immediate project, I mean, as a manager, encourage the focus to stay on, the task at hand and the project at hand, and really focus your training efforts there, but also encourage people to just remain curious. And I mean, one thing we look for all the time with tapQA when we're interviewing for our consultants is, are you a lifelong learner? That is one of the biggest skills that we look for. And, encouraging people that, in any realm of technology to remain on top of the trends and everything is really important.
Thank you. So lifelong learner, Iryna, the question to you is, what do you think is the market demand now and then in the next 5 years? A tough question, predict the future.
Yeah, so it's difficult question, but I think right now it's very hard to find, from my experience, like solid QA engineers who understand like how to do testing, who know the basics. So I'm second, somebody already mentioned that these basic skills are missing. There are automation engineers that automate something without understanding why they're automating, and that's why automation in the bad place in many cases. So there is still a demand of for like testing knowledge. So this is, I think, a must. I see a huge race of AI's based tools, testing tools. So they remove or ease coding for automation, although it's still required in some cases, but they require understanding of what you do to automate, how make these test cases stable, how to make them reusable. So it's again second, my mention that you need to know a lot about testing. I also see a lot of JavaScript in automation, more than I would like to see, but looks like it's one of the most popular language now. So if you're thinking about automation career, you can invest in learning it. For next, I think at least couple years, it will stay so, maybe even grow. And Python and machine learning and AI, they go together. So automation skills, testing skills, and AI, at least basic knowledge, basic understanding. There are a lot of classes provided by Google and Microsoft and Amazon, where you can learn how to use their tools, so you can have at least like basic understanding, like what it's all about. What are all these algorithms? What they mean when they say they train system?
Right.
And like soft skills, like communication skills and being a good team player, and it's always on demand.
I always ask this trends question and then get this wonderful list of skills to have. Thank you, Iryna. And Anuj, would you like to build upon the same question? What do you think would be in high demand in the next 2 to 5 years?
That's an interesting question, Ajay, and I wish I knew. I think my guess is going to be as good as anyone else in this panel, but I will approach this question slightly differently. I think the intent of asking this question, I believe, is not only to just get the list of skills, I believe, but it is also to figure out what we need to be prepared for what's coming. And I look at it rather from first principles. I think whose career will thrive in the years to come. I think there are a few things that comes to my mind. I think in terms of the career principle, I think one is that approaching careers. I think there are two ways. One is which I call as map-based approach. Map, Google Maps. One step to another you need to go, and which is what the traditional career paths are, where one designation to another you go. And other is what I call as a compass based approach. So compass really gives you that sense of direction where you should be headed to without being tied to any single path. So I think in terms of mindset, what will be beneficial for people in the time to come is to embrace more of a growth mindset, embrace more of a compass-based approach to careers. I think that is one point. I think other is, again, on first principles, we always, I think what always helps and what will help 5 years from now is if you have a reputation. I think establish a reputation, you do that by being excellent. And people often underestimate the importance of really hard work and doing a great job. But I think if one does it, then you really get noticed and you start attracting opportunities rather than chasing opportunity. And any careers in planning any career, I believe we should be in a state that we are attracting opportunities than really chasing them. And third and the last point that I would make is that embrace a beginner's mindset. And I think I don't say it embrace a beginner's mindset for a person who has just joined the career. They are by default fitted with a beginner's mindset, but I think it is more for a person who is into the career path for a long time. And the fun in being a beginner is only when you have become an expert, and that is where the challenge is, and that is where beginner's mindset, the Zen-like mind, nurturing your childlike mind always gives you an opportunities to reinvent yourself, which I believe reinvention of yourself is a great skill that one should have to navigate through the, you can call it troubled times or unpredictable times that are ahead. So these are my few points. Yeah.
So growth mindset, have a growth mindset, and then have a beginner's mindset. Fantastic. Thomas, you have two members coming to you, have set up their one-on-ones. Both want the promotion, but one would not get it. What would be that reason if both of them have that same technical capabilities, the skills, but what is that one thing which is a big no-no for you to not promote someone?
It's a big no-no to not promote someone. Well, I'm gonna flip this. I'd say as a manager, I look at more of it as a leader that I should be the advocate for the people on my team. And so that means I am the advocate to them, to my own peers, and to the upper management. So if both of them are seeking a promotion, then I'm going to support them to get that, but I need them to use an evidence-based way of demonstrating that they deserve that, so that way I can be their biggest cheerleader. And so I'd say generally the people in my organization, like I've had teams as large as like 25 reporting to me. The way I approach it is I provide them the framework for career development. I will provide them all of the opportunities to be successful as in engage in activities, whether it's technical learning from books, conferences, professional groups, demonstrating like full ownership over work projects, so that way they've got something like deliverable to show that they add value to the company. Provide them all of those opportunities and the means to accomplish them. And those people who actually end up taking advantage of those opportunities are the ones that make it easier for me to make the case for them. I'd say, like, I've got something here. We're talking to a lot of leaders in the testing community. So it's about advice for other managers. Like one of the books I have here that I highly recommend, I'll show up here, Intrinsic Motivation at Work. I highly recommend, because this is for each individual person, say on your team or yourself, to find ways to help motivate them to be successful, finding activities that give them a sense of meaningfulness, of progress, of competency, of control over their own work is a good way to help motivate people to be successful and take advantage of those opportunities you provide them. And I did not write the book. I'm just free advertising for Ken Thomas.
Oh, fantastic. Chaitra, now that we have seen one book, we would love to hear which book has helped you, influenced you in career development, if at all. Any books?
So I was reading one by, I should remember the author's name. I can get to the name of the book. It's been a while since I read it, but I think it's not just the books that I've read. I think it's also, you know, reading some blogs and articles as well. But as I mentioned in my talk, it was not just reading books and articles. It was just, you know, actually taking on the role and seeing things in action, like, you know, your own experience and examples, or seeing others who, you know, as you consider as mentors and leaders in the organization, how they lead, learning from them was helpful for me in my role. So I will share the name of the book. I don't have it on top of my head. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. We are all available on Slack. This entire roundtable discussion has its own Slack channel. You can also find it in the chat, and we are very happy to have one of the authors, Mike Klice, as well in the audience. Hi, Mike.
Hey, guy. Thank you so much.
And Christina, a question for you in terms of the specialities, or say there are so many roles in any team or in any company, right? There's so many roles. They say there's a test architect, there's an automation specialist, right? Should we chase roles or should we chase designations, or is that the wrong question?
Chase what you want to do, as in the passion. Because if you don't have passion, just because that designation looks good and it sounds good, and probably your friends, your colleagues think it's good, doesn't really mean that it is what you want to do. So for me personally, I feel that if I really like some sort of role, then I start working for that. Not because it's like a cool designation or like a role, but if that role really fits me. So that's what I put myself, and like even if I talk to my manager or the next level on like how I would start moving to in my career, I would always see the list of what really makes that role or what really makes that particular designation, and I'll see if it really fits what I want to do or want to become. And that's where I put myself, rather than like, it's always good to have that goal to seek for something, but sometimes you might get there, and then I've also spoken to a few colleagues who've mainly stuck for roles and how they've gone there, and then they say that, oh, I actually thought it was this, and that's how I got there, but looks like it's not what I really want to do, and I miss what I do. So in that way, I mean, for me personally, I feel, see what you are passionate about, see where you want to grow, what skills you want to grow into, and then see if that particular role fits that yearning or that need, and then try to move into that, rather than like saying, okay, it looks cool, this sounds cool, so try to go to that. So that's what I personally feel.
Perfect. So with this beautiful topic, we have somehow gone slow on the pace. So I want to speed it up. I want to have a rapid fire. Think of it as the buzzer round. So all the panelists will take turns and then quickly say what is the first thing that comes to their mind when I say this word. Promotion.
Effectiveness.
Incentive.
Not the only way to grow.
Not the only way to grow. Yes, Kirk?
I would say following passion.
Christina?
You stole my answer.
Sorry.
Buzzer.
There's other words. Just, you can use a synonym. I'm fine.
I'll check the source about fashion. That's
Okay,
fine.
good. That was fast, but not fast enough. So the next round, please make it fast. Job switch.
Depending on your yearning.
The Y one or the E one?
No, the why,
The Y one.
not the yearning.
Inevitable.
Inevitable. Okay.
On average, I would say people hold 8 different jobs over the course of their career. I don't know have the citation for that, but I remember reading that.
Okay. Chaitra, Kirk, Anuj, job switch.
I'd say opportunity.
Opportunity is a good one.
Anuj.
I think metaphorically, maze. I guess these days the careers are more like going inside a maze. So you got to take turns and figure out what is best out there that can match your skill and that can help the organization.
Okay. A debatable word or word phrase, manager versus leader.
I'd say inspiration or inspiring. I think a leader inspires, a manager doesn't necessarily inspire sometimes. If that makes sense.
Not every manager is a leader, or not every leader has to be a manager.
Nice one. Christina, Thomas, Anuj.
Human beings. Both of them are.
Fantastic.
Drivers. Driving.
Okay. Many people leave after this particular thing happens, and the word is appraisal.
Reflection.
Mm-hmm.
An opportunity to just really reflect.
It was supposed to be a rapid fire, folks.
Feedback is good.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Necessary evil.
Necessary evil. Yeah, imagine conducting appraisal for like 50 members. Yep. Yes, appraisal.
Should be fair. Sorry, I'm giving another one. Just thought about it.
Okay. Last 2 words. Let's go for training budget.
Never enough.
Resourcefulness.
Be creative to overcome limited budget.
Nice. So that brings to the last word or phrase, self-learning.
Necessity.
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Nice. Anything else for self-learning?
Every day. Every day.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And now we can have questions from the audience. You could unmute yourself or you could type in your question in the chat. And while you do that in the next 2 minutes, I'll ask maybe a closing question from everyone in terms of, okay, what should we do for a very good career development? Christina, what's your one-liner for an effective career development? You're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Constant learning and constant self-evaluation is what I feel.
Okay. Chaitra, your one-liner for an effective career development?
Yeah, like what Christina said, constant looking for opportunities and self-improvement.
Okay, so Thomas, I will change
Mhm.
the question for you.
Mhm.
What is that one thing we shouldn't do to have a great career?
Mhm. Accept no for an answer.
Nice. Um, so Kirk, same question. What is that one thing we should avoid?
Don't follow a path just because you've seen some of your peers do that same thing. And this goes for us as managers too with our people. But not everyone is wired to be automation architect. Not everyone's wired to be a manager. Follow your passions, and don't feel that just because you didn't become this, that your career isn't worthwhile. Because you'll have a harder time going down the path that isn't a good fit than just because you think you have to. Sorry, it was a little more than one line. Sorry.
No problem. Anuj, I know what is the answer I'm expecting from you, but I don't know to frame the question. So it is more on the creating a role for yourself within an organization, for the role which is not there, but you like it. How do you approach that? That's my question. So
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think in one word, entrepreneurship. And I think the trait that leads you to that, I think two things I'll say. One is, I think one of the most underrated traits I've seen in the organization is what is called a situational awareness. That does not necessarily mean, I think most of the time people are, married to their desks and married to their immediate project that they are working on, that they lose sight of what else is happening in the organization. So much so that they don't, feel motivated to attend what leadership is saying, what customers are saying, and and form an opinion around it. I think in order to be an entrepreneur, number one thing you need to inculcate, I believe, is situational awareness. And I think the second thing is building the after building the situational intelligence, you need to be able to figure out how do you find the gaps in the organization where you can start contributing to. I think it is possible to build a career which is not on the career path, but you got to be approaching the whole game of career. I like to equate it with a game. It is very liberating to think of career as a game, because you can frame your own rules and figure out your own path.
perfect. Thank you. So here we have a first question. I think I would like Thomas to answer that. How to effectively differentiate between short-term and long-term career goals?
So I say the short-term goals are what is going to make you successful within your organization, and that could be focused around tooling or process, things that could differentiate you to move you from junior to senior, from senior to lead, or from any position to another position within your organization. The long term is where you're seeing the industry trends moving that will provide you the best opportunity to decide your own path outside of the organization as needed. So that way you are not married to one job or one company.
Okay. Chaitra, a question for you, which I've selected is, what is other than automation testing, other than programming, a tester can do?
Sure. I think it's important to have like the tester's mindset, right? That will be fundamental before you even start doing automation or anything. So building that, and your quest for finding out of the box issues or thinking outside the box, having a different mindset that generally others who are not testers have, building upon those skills, and then seeing if you really like that, finding issues and finding defects. Not just that, but there's more than just that. Like you want to make sure that you're quality is what really matters to you at the end of the day. So thinking of ways, maybe if that's something you like and you want to see how automation works, and then that's when you can take a next step into that. But I think what's most important is to have that tester's mindset and building upon that first before you start doing anything else.
Nice. So Kirk, a question for you. How do you see skill set overlap in IT, dev doing test and testers doing coding?
It's happening a lot more than ever before. That's for sure. I mean, we, we're a consulting firm, so we get, calls all the time for, can you help us out with automation? And we see that there's really an effective approach with, the SDET role, which is, I think, Chaitra, I think you mentioned it. It's really, really a hard role to find, really a hard role to fill. We look for it every day. We have a hard time finding it, but it's finding that overlap right there, where it's kind of it's a bit of a unicorn, someone who has that testing mindset, but also has the coding. And since it is a hard role to find, the overlap there is pretty important. If you can, and this kind of even goes back to the question that Chaitra just answered too, is, for folks in testing, I mean, to be like a QA advocate and be almost a mentor and a trainer to those that maybe you have to bring in from the development team to help with the coding aspects of test automation, that's an important overlap, and it's an important role, because not everybody's going to have a testing mindset. We all know developers that are really good at coding, are awful at testing, or maybe just aren't quite great at testing. So it's having someone that can instill that testing mindset throughout the organization and to developers. So I don't know if I'm answering Aniruddha's question specifically, but I think the overlap is really important. We're certainly seeing that a lot more, and it doesn't always have to be an individual to do that, because again, that's a hard skill set to find. But there are a lot of effective quality engineering organizations that can find the overlap with multiple people and still be very effective.
Thank you. Christina, what is that one piece of advice a leader gave you that changed your direction or career in a positive way?
Yeah, so what I've heard from the initial leaders I've had to like now is be there as a change, right? And I know change is a very big word, and I don't know if you're aware that I did come from the development background, and I chose to get into quality engineering. My first role was to be a sole test automation engineer. That's how I selected that. But it was a big decision. I had a lot of people saying this and that and everything, but I wanted to be the change, and I think that worked out really well for me, and I'm really glad that I took this path. So when I was I started speaking about my decision, then initially I'd done an internship, which was a development internship with the company I worked. They offered me a job once I was done from university, and it was two different jobs. It was a mobile developer and a test automation engineer. And I felt like I already had that skill of finding issues irrespective of doing development. And I did take that field. At that time, it was more of like a growing field at that time. It's still growing, but what I'm saying is, and when I wanted to choose that, the lead or the manager said, you make a decision based on where you could make that change. And I was really, really glad that I did make that. I was able to take that decision, and I'm not regretting it at all. So that was something that really was a very good advice, I feel. Wherever you could make a change, go there.
Right. Wherever you can make a change, go there and make that change. Fantastic. Anuj, a question for you. If a manager does not provide career path, how should testers at beginner or intermediate level find their career path?
Yeah, I don't think, I don't know, I think depends like how much role or power a manager has been given. But I think in my experience, the way I have seen in my career, even during the early times, so I think manager's role is often governed by the boundaries which are provided by the organization. So I think culturally different companies operate in a different way. So the manager's role will also change. But by and large, I think if I need to, at the risk of generalizing things, what I have seen is that most of the IT companies, at least the ones that I have worked for, the manager role has been more of an enabler, not the one who provide a path. Like I said in the beginning, I think we should own the career, put the career, the strings of career in our hands rather than giving it to the manager, and use and leverage managers' presence and their wisdom to guide you to the next path. I think most of the time it would work, but I think there are practical situations in which you are in a situation where you're not getting most out of the relationship with the manager. I think this is where your the rapid fire, the word that you use, job search, come into picture. So because I think you spend a lot of time organization with managers, and so that is one path. I think so job search probably is the last thing to do in my opinion, and at the same time, it always helps to build the social skills, build the reputation in the organization, that people start knowing you for your work, and they open up. More people, more you build that reputation in the organization, I think more paths will open up. And the reputation builds, I think, with two ways I see. I think one is that you are very good at what you do in one skill, which is the case in case of the expert. But I think there is another path also, that you're probably in 20% top 20% of your core skills, but at the same time you can pick up other skill where you can try to be on top 20%, so that you can increase your sphere of influence in the organization where those skills are in demand. So this is what I would offer. But I think in the end, like think like a CEO when you think of your career.
Right. So we'll have to wrap it up in 2 minutes. So one last question to everyone. So we'll end it on a happy note. What is that one thing which you are proud of having done in your career that you would advise others to maybe follow it if they were in your, they're like a younger self, right? What would you thank your younger self for doing a particular task? What is that one thing that has helped a lot in your career? Thomas?
Mm-hmm. I'd say for mine, it would be the help that I have given to others, a number of people outside of tech who I've helped find a path into tech or within tech to find new positions through their support, mentoring, and training. And that's the part that I'm most proud of.
Okay, thank you. Christina? You're on mute.
Yeah, so for me, it'll be more of teamwork. So what I believe is, as I learn, I want my team to also get to that level, so that so we have constant training sessions. So whatever I've learned, I made sure that I share with my team, and we have constant bi-weekly meetings where we have that training session, hands-on session, and I'm very proud about it, because I feel that helps the team, and the team is also growing with me. And wherever I've been, I made sure that I make whatever the new learnings I've done, I've found, and it helps we decide to move in our company with that. It's all documented and available for everyone to look at as well. And that's what I'm proud about.
Thank you. Chaitra, I will let you go after this quick answer.
Thank you. So I would say, be really genuinely passionate about what you're doing and give your best in, the opportunity that's given to you. And then I think, the path leads forward from there. So, giving your best and kind of dedicating yourself to, and taking on any challenges that come your way, and with confidence, not doubting your abilities. So I'm going to hop off. Thank you all for joining.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yes, Anuj.
Yeah, I think real quick. So one of the most limiting things that I have seen in not only in our industry but in various industries is to measure experience with time. Like they say, I have X years of experience, which is what I in my early part of my career, I just walked away from that notion after having gotten the advice from one of my mentors. And I think that has proven to be great thing, I would say, because again, it is liberating, because I feel that experience is really an output and time is input. When we say that I have X years of experience, we are really saying that output is equal to input, which is I think factually incorrect. So to me, I think experience is always about maximizing what you can learn at a given within a given time, and it is about how better you can get. I think I've seen people who are probably 10 years worth of experience in their 5-year journey in the career. So I think, just do not equate experience in time. I think you will find yourself doing wonders to yourself.
Thank you, Anuj. Yes, Kirk, will end with your answer.
Oh, great! I get to be the anchor here. All right. No,
you can hit the winning runs.
Sure, let's do it. No, Thomas made a really great point. I think, as managers, we have such an opportunity to really be inspirational and really help someone with their career. And, my background is pretty much rooted in recruiting and leadership of consulting and things like that. So it's all about people. And as much as it's a charge for us to release great products and for us to see our handiwork in the field as a development organization and as a quality organization, there's no better rush than seeing the impact you make in individuals' lives and people's lives. And as managers, to be able to identify career paths for individuals and help them grow in their paths, there's nothing better than that. I mean, we have folks that have, that started with tapQA as, coming right out of school as like a liberal arts major that are now automation architects, they're senior managers, things like that. And seeing that growth and being able to impact that growth with the advice that we give on a day-to-day basis and the guidance that we give in one's career path, I'll tell you, there's nothing better than that. That's just really an awesome part of our role as managers and our responsibilities. So that's something I just, I personally, I can't get enough of.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I wish this discussion just continued, but then we are the next session is Chaitra, so we'll give her enough time. And thank you very much, Christina, Thomas, Kirk, Anuj, Iryna, and Chaitra. And thank you all the attendees for wonderful questions. See you soon. Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Ajay. I think before we log off, wonderful job navigating through the whole panel talk. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.